Now is Erik Asgeirsson, our president and CEO of CPA.com, and he's got a great panel of experts he's going to be talking to over the next few minutes. So welcome, Erik.
It's a crazy town full of neon dreams. Everybody plays, everybody sings. Hollywood with a touch of twang.
Well, thanks, Michael. That was an amazing recap of Digital CPA so far. So good morning, everybody. It just reflecting on some of the comments Michael made, as well as these videos over the past few days. I mean, this is an amazing community, and that's what I really feel, and Michael kind of highlighted that as well, about this 10th year. We're friends, you know, we talk about our families, we talk about how they're doing, and we talk about how our businesses are going and what we're doing really for society. I mean, this community here made a huge impact over the past 18 months, and we really are just beginning. I mean, there's so much, as Michael said, I'm extremely optimistic, and this group is leading the way. There couldn't be a better theme of this conference. And what I have felt from the day one keynotes, the concurrent sessions, is that we really are looking at what's next. I learned more over the past 18 months than I really learned in my whole career, and really understood in a different way the adoption curve and how people, you know, need to leverage new information, process it. And I think it's really set us up well for what's going to happen over the next couple of years. So this slide here is our flywheel, CPA.com's flywheel, but more importantly, it's this collective group's flywheel. And this flywheel is definitely building momentum. And it all starts with the ecosystem. And this annual keynote that I do really highlights the ecosystem. You see the chairs here. We're going to have 3 different sections, and we're going to talk with practitioners, leaders of the profession, and technology companies. And that's where it all begins, is what are we doing together? And then we're looking at the different technology triggers. I'll be talking about that in a moment. And then it really is all about transforming the finance and practice accounting areas and driving much greater client value. So here's our 2022 hype cycle. We're releasing this today. This is an important activity that we do. We do this with the consultants and the partners. We talk to them about what they're thinking about, and we leverage the Gartner hype cycle, which has so many data points, and we select a few that we really want to focus on. And we have these symposiums, the blockchain symposium. We're going to have an ESG symposium. When you look at this slide here, just a couple of comments. What you're seeing here is more solution-driven technology triggers, from machine-readable legislation. Clearly, all the complexity with legislation, reading those documents, it would have helped us a lot over the past year. Edge AI in the actual devices that we're all leveraging. And then you see where things are going on the plateau of productivity, the digital workplace. What a great theme now that Gartner has moved to, related to cloud computing and SaaS. So what I want to do now is I really want to get into the practice areas. And we're going to kick things off talking about client accounting services, but then we're going to talk a little bit about integrated services and the evolution of Fintech. And then I'm going to close with some comments on where we're going with assurance. But with that, I'd like to now, with that setup, I'd like to now bring up Jennifer Wilson and Elinor Litwack. So come join me on stage. All right, welcome. And we're on time. We've got a lot to talk about. So let me first introduce Eleanor. She's the Digital CPA Chair. She's one of the leaders of the CAS practice at GRF, a top 200 firm. She started many years ago as an associate. She's now a partner. She's been with this community from day one. And one other thing that you and I both have in common, we have 4 kids.
We understand each other.
We understand each other.
Same page.
Our youngest is 7. Our oldest is 14.
That's right.
So welcome.
Thank you, Erik.
And what I'd like to ask you is you tell us a little bit about your firm, but also reflect a little bit on the past year.
Sure. So as Erik said, we're a top 200 full service CPA firm. Just to give you a better idea of firm size, we're about 150 employees firm-wide, and on the CAS team, we are 35. When I started as an entry-level associate 14 years ago, we were actually a client accounting team of 7. So it's been a tremendous journey to come along this way and get to where we are today. Not just the 35 employees and high growth, but we being one of the top growing CAS practices in the nation. So it's been a phenomenal journey. And reflecting over the past couple of years, well, 2020 and 2021, the pandemic hit businesses and individuals in so many different ways. But from a business perspective, as Pascal put it the other day, the folks in this room and virtually in this community, we were the financial first responders. And it came from unfortunate circumstances, but it was a pivotal strengthening moment with our clients. The CARES Act dropped the PPP and the employee retention credit services, and we were able to really form that bond with our clients. They trusted us to keep them afloat and stay on top of the resources, of course, backed by the AI CPA and CPA.com and the town halls, and stay on the technical side of things while keeping them afloat. So it's built that relationship in an unprecedented way.
Well, thanks, Eleanor. So also with us is Jennifer Wilson. You all know Jennifer Wilson, clearly one of the top consultants and thought leaders for the profession. And Jennifer is someone I've known for 20 years. So welcome. You provide a little bit of background on what Convergence Coaching is all about and also what the last year meant to you.
Yes, Erik, thanks. I'm so glad to be here and so excited about this community and this conference. So Convergence Coaching, we're a leadership and management consulting firm. We work exclusively with accounting and consulting firms out there. And I've had this wonderful, privileged life to spend time with practitioners talking about their hopes and dreams and fears and problems and try to help solve them. And I tell people right now what I do for a living is I solve problems, and problems are way, way up, but so is opportunity. Reflecting on the last 20 months, really, like Eleanor said, I was so proud of our profession. I couldn't be prouder of what happened there in terms of our commitment to help our clients through really an incredible, unprecedented time. And the CAS practices, the role that they played in helping really figure out the financial position and cash flow and really, talking to people about their concerns during this. And like Eleanor said, PPP and CARES getting the funding, helping restaurants, with their funding, all of that. It was just wonderful to see and to be part of. So I just, I'm really proud of this community and excited about where we're headed.
Well, thanks. So let's get right into it. I mean, we want to dig deep into what's going on with CAS. We've just released, I know many people have been picking up the CAS benchmarking survey. So we released the second survey related to the CAS practice. A lot of findings. Jen, you helped with this benchmarking survey. What do you think are the key drivers of this high growth and some of the key challenges?
Well, Erik, first of all, I am so glad that CPA.com has this survey. Right. One of the strange things about our company is we're kind of benchmark geeks or numbers geeks, yep. And we, the other benchmark studies in accounting don't have this data. They don't ask these questions, and so it's in its second fielding, and so that's starting to mature. First time we were able to look back and say, how did the survey results differ from year over year, and that's exciting. The growth has been phenomenal. I was super excited to see 20% growth and to see the margins in this space. This practice, client accounting advisory services practice, is so important for us as CPA firms and consulting firms to claim this space because it's right in our sweet spot. It makes such a difference for clients. Why are they experiencing this growth? Because their clients can't find finance and accounting people. It's not their core competence. Most of our clients, that finance and accounting and figuring out how to really budget and forecast and all of those things. That's not what they started their business to do, and they need the help. And I think it's a seller's market for this service. We have to be super choosy who we help, because I know we're overwhelmed from a capacity perspective out there. But man, I think that the need and the demand is high, because we make such a difference for clients.
Well, and we're gonna get into some of the key attributes now. But when you look at that survey, one takeaway is the net fees per professional aren't as high as some of the other areas of the practice. And I think there's things that we need to factor in related to that. I mean, pricing strategies and understanding, the value that you're providing. So a lot of learnings there, and I think we're going to continue to, figure out the right KPIs. So when you look at this survey and you look at GRF, Eleanor, could you expand on what you see as some of the key attributes that are driving your success?
Yeah, and we can relate to many of these, but what I think is the driver of our success over the past few years is our people-first culture. So from a traditional business mindset, it was always clients come first. The client is always right. Client is king. But happy people equal happy customers. And we've seen that firsthand. So it's not just a strategy for client service and being, top client service providers, but it's now a strategy for employee retention and frankly, employee recruitment. So as I mentioned, we grew tremendously this past year. We had 17 new hires on our CAS team, and of those new hires, 10 of them were internal referrals from folks on our team expanding out to their network. And so what we realized is we've built a place where people want to work, they want to be here, and they want to be part of our team because it's a great place to be. And so I have to really say that that's the highlight for us in terms of our growth and what drove that.
Well, in this era of talent shortage, keeping your people happy and then driving client success makes a lot of sense. So we're talking, Jennifer, about going to the next level here. And this is one of our largest initiatives ever. We are really going to be putting tremendous resources into how to crack the code, as we're saying, and build truly achieve the opportunity that's out there. We've put together the fundamental workshops, but there's so much more related to building success related to a firm practice area. And what we're going to be adding related to this overall methodology is, more thinking around strategy and governance, more thinking around centers of excellence. So, Jen, I know you do a lot of coaching on strategy and governance, so maybe you could unpack a little bit that pillar.
Well, yeah, thank you. I love that pillar, and it's a challenge for firms, especially in the client accounting space. Most firms, if client accounting is a part of a CPA firm, the rest of the firm doesn't necessarily fully understand what that practice is. And the leaders don't understand how it differs and how it's similar. They try to measure it identically, and that's the first mistake. And they hold their practice leader accountable for measures that don't apply. So the benchmark study sure helps with that. It helps in education, but they don't understand who the ideal target client is. They don't understand that we can't support every general ledger out there, or that we need to be particular about the technology stack to be efficient and things like that. So it's our job as practice leaders to educate our leaders. Erik, you and I have talked recently about partner compensation and compensation in general, and it needs to be performance-based. It has to be on measures that make sense for the CAS leader. It can't be measures that don't. It can't drive the wrong behaviors. This is an investment practice and really a huge high return practice if firms invest. But the partnership has to understand it, and they have to shift the way that they manage and measure it.
And if you think about where we are at, 10 years ago, the theme of the conference was the rebirth of accounting services. And now here we are. And it's clearly a critical area. It's the highest growth area. And we're saying to really get it right, you're going to have to tweak the partner comp model. So a lot more to come on this. And you'll be seeing a lot about this in 2022. So what I want to do now is I want to talk, we talked about the customer experience with George Blankenship, and we want to talk a little bit about where things are going and what the small business client is seeing related to capabilities in the accounting services area. You all know this chart. This shows the ecosystem. You know, we've been all about the cloud accounting, cloud bill payment, cloud payroll, thinking a lot more about the pre-accounting, the inputs, a lot happening there, and in post-accounting, the digital intelligence. But here's some of the things that are becoming more prominent. This has been in the marketplace for a number of years, but it's getting a lot more exposure today. And what you see here is Pilot. And Pilot has been around for a couple of years, but it's getting a lot more attention. Bezos venture capital firm led the last round. They're valued at $1.2 billion. And they're basically providing, you know, digital bookkeeping services. And I'm going to expand a little bit more on these different influences and then get a couple of comments from Eleanor and Jen. So these are small business trends, and you know they're related to our CAS trends. So this bookkeeping services, Pilot, Bench, you're going to be hearing more about those because they're getting larger, they're making more of an impact, and basically it's technology plus humans. It's, you know, augmented services. That's what these companies are, using a tech stack, using some workforce, you know, in many cases, offshore workforce. Then you've got integrated finance. That's what I was talking about, the inputs, these digital smart cards coming in. That's something that businesses are going to be getting, you know, hearing about directly. We're thinking about that for the client accounting services stack. And then what we saw over the past year was a lot of people standing up commerce solutions during the pandemic. That's another, talking to one of our past DCPA chairs about his restaurant practice and how some, you know, the restaurants leveraging these new capabilities. So just kind of a comment from you, Eleanor, as you look at this and you think about your categories and you think about the evolution of your CAS stack.
I'm most excited, I think, about the spend management solutions and those credit card solutions. So we primarily work with nonprofits, and they have trouble getting corporate cards for their employees. They're nonprofits, they're small, they're new. So these spend management solutions are going to be a game changer for them. You're spending in alignment with budget, which is a perfect characteristic for them. People don't want to do expense reports, and there seems to be some automation there if you hook up to one of these services. And in general, if I think of the pillars of CAS, technology solutions is a key strategy year over year, because you can't just sit on cruise control. The landscape is constantly changing, and you have to remain innovative and agile and be willing to test drive things to stay ahead of the curve.
So, and we do, I think it's more important about the firm strategy and everything else that we're talking about with CAS 2.0, but these tech solutions, we are thinking about this, and we're going to be doing some things in probably all of these areas of 2022. So Jennifer, maybe a closing comment before we move to the next section.
Yes, I'm excited about all of these. We've talked a whole lot at this conference about capacity and challenges finding great people and staffing fast enough to stay with the growth. And, a major part of a capacity solution is technology innovation and efficiency. And then this idea, Erik, of, bookkeeping services with the combination of technology and staffing to relieve some of that for these practices would be wonderful. So excited about all of it.
Well, thank you both very much for your leadership and being with us here today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, moving on. We're now going to talk about the evolution of modern fintech, and I'd like to bring up Rohit Arora and Tony Kate. Come join us. Welcome, welcome. So I'm going to kick things off. I'm going to introduce them both and kick things off first here with Tony, then my good friend Rohit, who I've spent so much time with over the past year. So Tony Kate leads a firm out of Brooklyn, New York called EcoTax. They've really made an impact with their clients as a trusted advisor over the past year. He's got 3,000 clients in 50 states. And Tony, you and I have talked a lot about, what a defining moment this past year has been for firms like yourself and your clients. Look at, this so many different milestones along the way, from the March 2020 shutdown to what we're doing right now with the reemergence. So I want you to share a little bit about your firm. And you've been coming to AICPA events for a while, but it's been great getting to know you much better over the past year.
Well, thank you, Erik. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate your leadership, AICPA leadership, Rohit's leadership as well. You guys definitely played a big role helping our firm succeed in this pandemic for sure in 2021. Definitely the solution. Just a little background. Yeah, we're a full service tax and accounting and financial service firm. We're internet driven. We have clients in all 50 states, like Erik mentioned. But we're the trusted advisor. We're subscription-based model, unlimited consulting with every single membership that our clients have. We grew. We have clients in every state, and they trust us. And we lead with education, planning, consulting, and obviously advising. We're that trusted advisor that everybody, all of us here are trying to do and help our clients. But the portal was the best tool that you guys ever created. It's financial technology. I mean, we're cloud-based. I mean, the only way to help clients in 50 states, you got to be internet-driven. And, George mentioned in his keynotes presentation about the customer experience, what technology brings. It's not about the iPhone, and it's not about Tesla. It's about giving that customer service, that experience, things to be much quicker. And this is what the portal actually did for our clients. We're able to scale. We actually put in over 400 applications on the portal. 330 of them were funded. 35 of them went to my other fintech that we used in the first round. But this is the first portal that was built for us accountants, CPA. I mean, I've done all the research. I've talked to a lot of companies out there, but this is the first time you actually included accountants in the whole ecosystem. Dealing with the government, we filled that whole gap, dealing with the government, the banks, the clients, and the accountants. And having the client just sign the PPP application, and that's the only work they did, that experience added so much value and deepened that relationship that I thought that would never even happen. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. And one thing I said, I learned so much over the past year. And in this, what we did, we turned up 1,000 firms in 45 days. I did spend a lot of time with Rohit on the phone as we were kind of getting the platform right. But we built a platform because in 2020, we got the feedback that the firms wanted to help their clients more related to these financing and business relief activities. And we knew how to go about it with the ecosystem. So then we stood up a platform that enabled firms like EcoTax to really deliver for their clients. So, Rohit Arora leads Biz to Credit, one of the leading fintech companies out there. I've known Rohit for 5+ years, and it was great having our connection prior to the pandemic, and then what you did. Why don't you comment a little bit about what you've seen related to the acceleration of fintech over the past year?
Yeah, so absolutely. I think that's a very good question. And as somebody said in 1969, that the bird has landed or the eagle has landed. So I think future is here now, and that's very important. What we have seen is the evolution and the quickening of the pace, and that's happening at such a rapid pace that anybody who is involved in the financial services one way or the other is now part of fintech. You cannot just say that, I do my accounting, my bookkeeping, or my normal stuff, and I have nothing to do with fintechs anymore. So fintech has become from just being one sliver of opportunity or one sliver of technology to all encompassing, kind of I would say on the top of everything that is happening in financial services and beyond financial services also. And I think that's a big evolution we have seen. We have seen the change in the behavior of the customers. So especially with small and mid-sized businesses prior to the COVID, they were still skeptical about going online, even if they were applying, sharing their information, their data. PPP was all done online. There was no physical application. There was no physical branches open. And that has totally changed the mindset. So now the customer is fully ready to be digital. It's for players like us, you guys, and everybody else And we work with a lot of banks, so we are not like we are competing against banks. And one message I give to all the banks also is that, they have to be ready. We have to be more and more ready, because this is same set of customers who's a consumer and consuming some of the best technology and the customer experience out there. And on the business side, that experience is still, I would say, behind the curve. And that's where there's a big opportunity. And there's also an opportunity here where what has really changed in last 18 to 20 months is that you're not going to get a perfect product or a platform. Never. It's going to be an iterative process. Now, that's something that goes against normal CPA, I would say, mindset, which is like things have to be really good, things have to be perfect. Now, you are part of the technology. You are part of a user experience where you have to improve it. You have to give feedback. And then that has to be constantly iterative process. Like during PPP, we made changes like in 12 hours, in 24 hours. It was like 24/7. And now that we have launched a new portal, we have learned a lot from what we did, try to improve it, but there are things that will keep changing. So that's the being part of the process. And the more deep user you are and the early adopter you are, there'll be some speed bumps, absolutely, but the better it will be for you, your clients, and for everyone. Because this is how now going forward, actually the technology will be built, because it's all cloud-based now. There's going to be no version releases. There's not going to be any, a lot of, you don't have time to do a lot of in-depth research upfront. So the way you do it is that you build the minimum viable products or platforms, you roll it out, and then you take it from there. And that, I think, is a key mindset aspect that also needs to change in everyone who is involved, because we have seen it that wherever there's a lot of legacy issues, things slow down. That's the reason why banks are struggling today. They know that, they need digital platforms, but they cannot change themselves because they have so much of legacy baggage and they have so much of bureaucracy internally that, they are just so bogged down by that. And that's a challenge also. Yeah.
So Rohit, absolutely. And what we've seen here, I think what we did was we delivered over the past 18 months, leveraging tech across the client spectrum with the firms. And where we're gonna go though is, and we've spoken with a lot of firms about this. This is another evolution where firms are going to get more involved in treasury services, basically at the small business level, in financing. And it's the and story. It's the and story here where it's fintech plus banks. So I'm going to ask you to kind of briefly comment on this, and then I want to bring in Tony as well.
Yeah. So I think this is a very important slide, because this is what shows that where the world is moving. It's all about ecosystems. It's all about platforms. It's all about you can contribute into this and you can get back. And we are starting to see that. It's not just lending, it's insurance, it's blockchain. Blockchain is going to play a very big role, in my view, over next 2 to 3 years' time. It's not going to be crypto, speculative stuff, but the real blockchain, say, technology behind it. And I think everything is going to converge. Data is going to become the most important piece. And that's what, as CPAs, you have. And last thing is you also need it for your hiring strategies. Young people will not like to work for companies which are not forward-looking and not tech-driven. And that, I think, is a key for hiring, for retaining people, as well as for, expanding your own services out there.
So, and this slide might be the right one for you to comment on, because Tony, we did overall with these 1,000 firms over 40,000 business relief loans. So there's a lot of data, and what you see here are the categories of the different verticals that were in that 40,000 loans that these 1,000 firms supported. Tony's firm supporting over 400. So just a little bit of comments on where you see financing going. I know you have that one quote, financing is like medicine for your clients at times.
Absolutely. Talking about our profession, how we evolved, my late grandmother said, one should be a doctor or a lawyer. I'm like, you know what? I'm a financial doctor. That's what we do. I listen to my clients' needs and we deliver. We're like a one-stop shop. And we're trying to help all these clients regarding tax, accounting, or financial services. And that's why we scaled in this pandemic, just because we're technology driven. And on the first round, we actually had bumps in the road. The first round, I partnered up with some other firms, but they were structured as a fintech. And we were doing manual applications. And then you guys came around 2021, second round, and I was able to scale. I was able to get half my staff, about a staff of 33, 15 accountants in the portal. And we're able to scale and do 3 times more the volume with clients not doing any work. That's the key. So the mindset has to change, because as a financial doctor, giving out money, okay, you're making the client feel better. You know, when your client is sick, right, they go to the pharmacy, they get medicine. In the business world, you give out money and they're looking to grow, or in this case, the pandemic, when they needed finances to you know, the bridge to go back to their office. That particular money that we're giving out, I was telling all my staff, you're gonna make them feel better. It's like medicine.
And what you're going to do is also, you're going to help, as you said right now, help them grow. And we have the data now, and this is what we learned. There is no question that licensed firms working with these businesses, supporting the underwriting function, driving to a bank, can get higher quality products. And that's where we're going to go. And that's an advantage for firms that we think will develop over time, where you will be able to support this, the and equation with fintech, the and equation with lenders. And this is what as we go into 2022, we're rolling out some financing solutions. And then we're going to roll out, you know, plugins, modern plugins to the SBA and things like that. So a lot more to come here. And I just want to thank you, Rohit, you know, for the partnership. I love even how Rohit described today, because this is how he's operated. It was always iterating. It's MVP, but getting it right, working with us, understanding what the profession's needs are, firms' needs are. So thanks for your partnership. And, you know, Tony, look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thank you as well.
Continue to evolve. So thank you both. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Yeah, and thank you, Erik, for the opportunity.
Okay, so we're now going to, that was fantastic, talking about, you know, where fintech's going and how important, you know, this evolution, I think, will be to the firms and their businesses over the next couple of years. One of the fastest moving categories. What we're going to do now is we're going to step back. We're going to talk about the business model with the AICPA chair, Bill Pirolli. So come on up, Bill. Great to have you up here, Bill.
Good to see you.
So welcome, Bill. You've been busy, but you're busy virtually. But you've been traveling a lot over the past many months, and you've been with us on this journey since day one. Bill used to be chair of PCPS. He's been in lots of volunteer leadership roles, and you're finishing up your time at a G400 firm. So I'll let you give a little bit more background on yourself and your career.
Sure. My career is a pretty straight line, actually. I've basically had one job in the 43 years I've been in this profession. I started as an intern in a small 6-person firm, and I spent the first 29 years of my career in that firm. And as I sit here today, this conference basically validates my entire career, because I started as a bookkeeper. Of course, it was manual back then, right? Writing it up in the manual general ledgers, but that was my foundation for accounting. I was trained by this amazing group of women who were bookkeepers, and they gave me the tools that you talk about today, right? That's what CAS has evolved to today. So to see that evolution and the way it's evolved is just amazing to me. And as you said, about 14 years ago, I merged into a G400 firm. And it was my primary job to develop the CAS division of that firm. And we had a lot of starts and stops. I mean, this was, before we had this momentum from Digital CPA. And I'm proud to report that today, and we have about 15 people in our CAS department, and we're about to promote our first partner, who is our lead of our CAS department. So it's been a great evolution, and this is fantastic to see.
Well, Bill, I mean, and it's just thrilled to, you representing the progress of what's occurred with, someone becoming a partner now who's leading the CAS area. Definitely time when you're talking to the firms all the time, and I know you've been on the road, you're talking about the firm strategy, and you got your what, who, and how. So
Right.
maybe a little bit of background on that.
Right. No matter where I go, either on the road, and it's in this country, we're a global organization, it's around the world, it's virtual. The only thing that people want to talk about is pipeline and capacity. Right? It's top of mind for the entire profession. And yes, we're dealing with that. We've got a lot of initiatives to help rebuild our pipeline. And, as I'm standing here, my challenge to all of you is to get in the game and help us with that. Go out and tell these amazing stories that we're talking about today and encourage people into the profession. But it's more than that. Part of dealing with this capacity issue is business model transformation. And I think we're really at a crossroads right now where we have this opportunity to think differently about our practices and how we work, and really consider that, that what, that who, that how. What services do we want to perform? What services can we perform? Who do we want to perform them for? And that speaks to, maybe getting out of some business lines or out of some clients. I know Jen led a session the other day on culling clients, and I'm a big believer in doing that. Not necessarily firing, right? Nobody should have any bad clients, but it's about focusing your practice and really concentrating on the who you want to deliver these services to. We have an abundance of work, tremendous opportunity, and we don't have the people to do it. So we really have to focus on this. And then, this conference is really about the what and the how, right? And how can we transform what we do to become more efficient for our clients? And, listening to the other speakers here, it's really amazing, some of the things that we can do.
Well, and Bill, I think it's so important because we're here in some ways. Digital CPA is a technology conference, and you talk about technology solutions, but it's always, however you want to think about it, thinking about your strategy, what it is, what's the right vertical. We showed the chart just recently of all the different verticals and, related to the financing program, critical questions. I know I kicked off this morning just talking about the ecosystem in the community. And I know that's you out of Rhode Island, you've been active with your community there and from a overall profession standpoint, but maybe just some reflections on that.
Yeah, it's really been an amazing journey over the last 18 months. The importance of the community. I have never been prouder to be a CPA. I have never been practicing in an era where people have worked collaboratively together. And it's not just within our own profession, working with state societies, working with regulators, the Hill, but also working with each other. And I often say, and I'm not saying this because Erik is sitting here, that the town hall was just such a huge part of our community. And it was about going out and getting the most relevant information on the day, but it was also about a community. 10,000 people would show up just to make sure they weren't the only one that had that question, right? They're not alone. They're sitting alone, maybe at home or at their kitchen table, with a mind full of questions, and then they find out that there's 5,000 other people that have that same question. So it really built this incredible community, and congratulations to you and your team. Just tremendous hard work.
Well, I mean it's been a tremendous partnership with the team there, Lisa Simpson and many others. But when you think about the town hall, it's actually it's something that we learn every week from all of the we learn so much from all the attendees. We get sometimes 1,000 questions. We actually search those. We're using some types of artificial intelligence in some ways to kind of pull information from them, and then we quickly spit out what we think is the most important things that the firms are struggling with with some additional information for them to leverage in their practice and also with their clients. What we've found is very interesting, Bill, is a lot of the attendees now, which makes so much sense, are repackaging that information and getting it out to their client base. We're going to continue to work on making that more possible for the firms to do. So this is, again, over the last 18 months, things have happened and we've created things that we're going to leverage going forward, and that the town hall is one of them. So we talked about the attributes of the high performing CAS firm. This is another slide that you use as you go around the country, the attributes of highly profitable firms.
Yeah, and this has been in my slide deck for probably 2 years. And as I sit here today, it's just so on point to this crowd, to this group, and how firms have become profitable. And these really are, for me, the attributes. And if you look at some of them, what we talked about today, and Jen talked about, an aligned compensation system, right? You want to grow that CAS, you have to change the compensation model to really reward that CAS. And empowered management teams. And the reason that CAS is doing so well is that we finally figured out they're not like everybody else in the firm. All right, stop running the CAS department like you're running the audit or the tax department. No disrespect to them, but it's a different animal, right? You know, we're using flat billing and value billing. We don't necessarily worry about our hours. High accountability, right? And really holding your folks accountable for the job that they're doing. Just some of those, and again, being transparent with everybody in the firm as to where you're going, right? And what's the journey that we're on and how we're going to get there, okay? And when I look at this and I look at this conference and the people that are here, they are committed to these bullet items.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is we're going into 2022. One thing I always like about Digital CPA, it occurs in December, and we're all thinking about our 2022 plans. You know, we talked about this actually in a recent town hall. Look at these elements. In some cases, you say these are the basics. Yeah, the basics really get you going where you need to be headed. And then, you know, think about investing at the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bill, thank you so much for your leadership over the past year, and looking forward in the partnership you've provided over the past 10 plus years. So it's great having you here at Digital CPA.
Thanks, Erik.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Well, you know, I think this is so important. We do this every year. You know, we bring a lot of the ecosystem up for this annual update, and there's so much activity that is going on with the overall ecosystem and communities. I know so many of you have been meeting with technology partners here. There's been a lot of great networking events at night, and what you're seeing here is this collective group starting out with what we talked about with CAS 2.0. That's going to be the AICPA and CPA.com. But I can tell you, we're going to be leveraging a lot of others. And we're launching a new CAS advisory council that's going to help drive direction related to the CAS practice. We're kicking that off later today because it's really entering a whole new stage, and we need to have even more formal input from that area. And then the financing area, lots going on there. And then finally, with Bill Pirolli, just, you know, what's going on with overall firm strategy and business model transformation. So really appreciate their participation today. So now let's just talk a little bit more about investing at the edge. Investing at the edge, as Pascal described so well. And when we launched the DAS initiative, we didn't call it investing at the edge, but it absolutely is. So the Dynamic Audit Solution Initiative, Barry talked about it. It started in 2018 when we put together this consortium of firms. And then one of the most important things we did was then we hired the talent. We have talent at AICPA and CPA.com, but we hired the talent from the firms, and we put them together in a standalone unit. And this group has been doing amazing things, and we're at this phase where we're going to be launching this transformative methodology to the marketplace in 2022. That's the Dynamic Audit Solution being launched. It's in beta right now with this group of firms that are part of this consortium. And this is really going to dramatically change how the modern auditor will function. And they're going to be able to, it's going to be a data-driven audit, and they're going to leverage insights. And it's in a very, very exciting time. And we've had sessions here at Digital CPA. We've got some of the leadership from the DAS group here at Digital CPA. And this is one of the largest initiatives, if not the largest initiative, that the AICPA and CPA.com has ever undertaken. And we have done this in the fashion of investing at the edge, and it's really, really working. At the opening, I talked about research that we're doing. I mean, this just underscores some of this research. And if you want a primer on what's happening with blockchain, download this 2021 Blockchain Symposium report. It's in partnership with the Wall Street Blockchain Alliance that we put together this information. We bring together 100 subject matter experts. There's a lot going on there. We're working with firms on how they're building out crypto asset assurance practices, thinking about tax compliance, lot going on there. And we're going to be launching an ESG symposium in the first quarter of 2022. So this primary research really does help us drive some of these future solutions. So that again is investing at the edge. So just in conclusion here, there's so much going on. I really do feel like we are laying some incredible tracks on where we need to go. What we've achieved is impressive, but so many of these opportunities are still in the very, very early stages. Client accounting services, where DaaS is going, where integrated finance is going. So we're well prepared. Together, we're going to continue to lead. I am, as Michael said, I'm extremely optimistic about what we're going to continue to achieve together. And I just want to thank you again. I just love talking to all of you. And I appreciate you commenting on how this is an important event for you. It's an important event for us. And I also want to thank my broader team and the AICPA for all they've done to put on this event. Thank you very much.